Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to another exciting session of Paklaunch, where we interview in depth with technologists, visionaries, and change makers. Today we have someone who I think is not sufficient to have an in-depth conversation in a matter of 1 hour. He has been someone who has been part of, I would say, one of Pakistan's largest startup, because at some point Telenor was a startup and it has scaled. It's scaled to 50, 60 million customers over a period of time. He was one of the employee number one, a local employee number one of Telenor in Pakistan, way back in 2004, when the telecom sector was emerging, was a new sector. Then he helped scale it. He helped scale it in Pakistan operationally. He went back to Norway and then to Bangkok to look after regional roles, and then came back to Pakistan around 2013 to head the marketing function. And then, as a full transition from the first employee to CEO, he was the first local CEO of a telecoms company that we've had. So someone who has excelled at being a corporate executive and scaling operations. That's a vast experience and a topic unto itself. But not only that, he also was responsible for transformation of a telecoms company into a bank or a banking organization. He was one of the first ones who saw the vision way back in 2009 and made the pitch to Telenor to add financial services to the services that they could offer. And then acquired Easypaisa Bank, Easypaisa in 2 stages, and made it into a fully integrated subsidiary of Telenor. I think that was quite visionary at that time to do that. Acquiring in banks or financial services in Pakistan is not simple. The experience of Union Bank acquisition by Standard Chartered was not a positive experience by any means. So certainly Irfan is someone who's a risk taker, and not only a risk taker, but an executor who has executed upon an acquisition, which is not easy to do given the cultural changes that need to happen. And then subsequently, he was a CEO of Telenor, and then more global and a regional role, and has, as chairman of the board, seen the first licensee to get full banking license, which is the Telenor Microfinance Bank. And so welcome to the webinar, Irfan, and thank you for joining us at Paklaunch.
Thank you very much for having me.
So someone who has been part of the corporate setup of large companies, but also scaling them, tell us about your most important experiences coming back to Pakistan in 2004 and then becoming the CEO. That journey, explain to us how did that happen, and how did you adjust your mindset, your values to adjust to different stages of development of Telenor?
It's a very pertinent question. No, it's been quite an exciting journey. I spent initial part of my career overseas, starting from UK and then a few years in US. And then I was actually with Orange in UK and T-Mobile in all along telecoms, I would say. But also did a bit of consulting both in Latin America and Middle East. And then I was actually working in the region here. I'm sitting in Singapore today, Singapore and Philippines for, again, in a telco ecosystem. So I always wanted to go back to Pakistan, and back in 2004, there was a huge opportunity in a sense that market was under-penetrated. Some of you may recall that overall us waqt puri market ka size was only 5 million customers. I'm talking about the mobile customers, right? So mobile was meant to be for elite. It was too expensive. There were too many friction points. That means if you have to even initial early days, if you are traveling, there are roaming charges within the country. A receiving party was also billed. So if you're receiving a call, you have to pay charges. So those were the days, right? And I was sort of riding the deregulation wave, because Orange was the first 1800 band network in UK. T-Mobile जब US में शुरू हुआ तो it was the first GSM operator. उस वक्त technology US की जो थी वो CDMA based थी. So they have also deregulated the market in late 90s. So I have some experiences from around the world, and then my consulting helped me to take. And I always wanted to sort of come back to Pakistan and do something for the country. That was a fantastic opportunity because at that time the policy which came out in 2004 was quite forward-leaning policy from a framework viewpoint. They thought about competition, kaise introduce karana in the market, even how the consumers should be given a choice that things like number portability, for example, was introduced. So when Telenor decided to bid, because of my sort of global networks, I knew some people from before. So they asked me to join the moment they got the license. So it was actually quite interesting because I was first greenfield operations outside Norway. हम लोगों के operations Asia में काफी थे और जगहों पे like Bangladesh, Thailand, Malaysia at that time. But they were all joint ventures. So starting from something from scratch was quite interesting because जैसे आपने कहा, I also see it as a startup backed by a large corporation. क्योंकि आपको challenges वही हैं जो startup के हैं, but at least financially, you know that there is huge backing behind you. So we started from a very small space, like a business center, Saudi Park Tower था Islamabad में उसमें, and then we right from hiring resources to looking at office space. To looking at technical installations के लिए आपको जो space चाहिए होती है, buildings, etc. Start onboarding the marketing agency or PR agency, you name it. So you were involved actually, not just for your own responsible area, but you are responsible for everything. So that was good. And then we also gave a launch date, which was quite aggressive. And there were a lot of obstacles which we have to face. But anyway, fast forward. Within like a couple of years of launch, we were surprised also the response in the market, because market, like I said, was under-penetrated. So we've acquired about 10 million customers पहले 2 सालों के अंदर. By 2007, because we commercially launched in 2005, we already had 10 million customers. Or I was responsible for corporate end strategy. So we were looking at, okay, what is next? ये तो like a stream established हो गई है. People were like really queuing outside your centers, voting by their feet because इतनी ज़्यादा demand थी. And that's when once I was traveling in rural southern Punjab and met people, ये harvesting season था, मुझे याद है अभी April के दिन, and everyone was carrying mobile phones, but they were not really using it productively. And to my surprise, statistically at that time, 75% of Pakistanis were unbanked, right? So huge opportunity which we see. यार I mean अगर as a strategy obviously you pressure कि आपने नए revenue streams खड़े करने हैं, नए vertical खड़े करने हैं. So I thought that mobile banking could be an interesting one, which is very relevant for Pakistan because the need is so huge. So that's when I first time went back to our board, tried to sort of convince them, and was rejected. Reason being that was far from our core business, right? So Telenor globally as well is a telecoms company. And not a banking institution or a financial service provider. Or you need जो है हमारी home markets, because our heritage is Scandinavian, and those markets are so advanced जहाँ पर ये banking needs नहीं थी. I mean, perhaps everyone was banked in Scandinavia even in those times. So that's how we sort of, and then the whole idea was जो objections थे वो ये थे कि यार it's a huge reputation risk area which we don't know how we acquire competencies, how we go about it, how we deal with the risks of unknown, especially from a reputation viewpoint. Those were times when we had, a challenging neighborhood. One war chal rahi thi, KYC, anti-money laundering, all those issues were potential risks. And then on top of that, there was no framework. Actually, telcos were not allowed to do anything. So I was sort of a bit disappointed when we were rejected first time, but we came back and said, "Yaar, acha, I mean, these are valid concerns. How we address those concerns, how we can satisfy our board that we can be on top of those issues, or inko risk ko mitigate kar sakte hain." And that's when we start looking at the local market. We start interacting with State Bank of Pakistan. We had a role model through M-Pesa in Kenya, जहाँ पर ये सर्विस कुछ साल पहले लॉन्च हुई थी, एंड उस वक्त इट वाज रियली टॉक ऑफ द टाउन, जिसको कहते हैं ना कि मोबाइल को कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं टू एम्पावर पीपल फाइनेंशियली. So based on that, we have engaged with State Bank, and that's how the branchless banking regulation come into existence. जब regulations clear थे, then we went back again to the board, and it was easier for us to convince because we had many answers कि हम कैसे we will go about it. And then we were allowed to actually venture it. So EasyPesa became the first branchless banking operator in Pakistan. And those days, you can imagine, like 17 years ago, to build the trust के यहाँ एक entity को देते हैं, and the trust around money, because it was aware safe, and that in Pakistan, which is venture.
Decision of buy versus build.
So we were not allowed to build bottom up with, and then the banking their own license actually get a bank. So that was sort of forced on us. But when it comes to the EasyPesa, it was all built because microfinance and they agreed in that structural part, the bank. I think that's itni jaldi ab structural clarity. Even today, they don't have that clarity because it's very easy, right? Process either, right? Sustain it. You need to be transparent, you need to be clear, and that's how we done the telecom entity. Rest of the partners. And then so Telenor owned 100% of that subsequently.
One thing I think is very relevant here for startups is, mergers and acquisition and partnership or dilution. And a lot of people want to keep on to their small company and not merge or not partner with others. Whereas you guys, you're a big player, but you also did partner, and it was a successful partnership. So tell us about your experience and why partnerships in Pakistan are not very common, why it's difficult, and what was your recipe for why it was a success?
Think in your head, you cannot do everything in-house or yourself, right?
Yeah.
So we all talk about theoretically, that's a collaboration and ecosystem of collaboration and building together. But as you're saying rightly, it's hard. So you need to be super clear. First, like I said, we in our case, to be totally candid, we did not have a lot of banking or financial services experience. So we hired those resources, but we also leverage our partners' resources or knowledge and know-how. So that has really helped in the early days. Then when we started, it's also quite interesting how you pivot. To be very candid again, from a learnings viewpoint, when we started EasyPesa, we thought, it will be all P2P digital money back in 2009, right? But the market was not really ready. It has evolved and it became actually quite big over-the-counter service initially, which was not, by the way, part of the plan. So we had like 60, 70,000 retailers at that time. People were a lot more comfortable going to those shops and handing over their money. And it was primarily money transfer service in the beginning, right? So it P2P ki bajaye, it was more assisted because people were not, smartphone penetration was low, digital literacy was low, trust लोगों का वो user experience नहीं था, बाकी ecosystem में use cases भी नहीं थे. So people start trusting, and we put a lot of efforts in there in building that OTC then. An entire focus for quite a few years was on that. And we did, remarkable volumes in terms of throughput and all that in that journey. But then we realized that this is not going the right way. This is not where we wanted. Or इसको हम कैसे pivot करें towards our entire digital ecosystem. And that's when we acquired the remaining stakes. And then we started looking for the world best partner. Again, another example of partnership. We very clear, we never thought we can do it ourselves alone. And that's when Ant Financial or Alipay was invited and to invest in. And we created this joint venture, जो आज है, जिसमें 55% is owned by Telenor and 45% stake is with Ant Group. As you know, Ali Baba ka group ka part hai ye, is one of the largest fintechs. And because of their scale and what they achieved especially in China, but also Southeast Asia, they're pretty big in Philippines, India ke andar Paytm, uske baad Indonesia and many other markets, Thailand. So they have a lot of experience that really helped us because they knew the technology and they knew how to go to market digitally. That's really helped because it becomes a perfect combination. जहाँ पर Telenor brought in the local market knowledge, जिसमें distribution है, आपका customer base by then we had like over 40 million customers at that time, data insights, analytics, all those things, and the brand. But then our partner bring in the technology and the global know-how, which really helped us build this fantastic venture. You're muted.
And that's excellent. And that's a lesson for all the startups that no matter how big you are, and Telenor is big, you need to partner. And Silicon Valley is all about dilution, partnerships, and how do you get different skill set, different people to come together to achieve a common objective and to scale quickly. So I think that was fantastic that you were able to achieve that. And so subsequently to Alipay coming in, tell us about the journey that has happened since then in the evolution of both Telenor as a telecoms company, but also the digital bank and the stages that it has achieved.
Right. So it's quite interesting because, Alipay also, when we invited them, obviously they looked at the entire market. They've spoken to the commercial banks, they've spoken to our competitors, they looked at us. Or to your point earlier, they figure out having an independent, separate structure, which is transparent, having a good governance and best practices in terms of governance, risk, compliance is is absolutely important, right? So that is what they valued when they decided to team up with us from their perspective, and they shared a lot of those interesting insights subsequently why they choose to be with Telenor and not with anyone else in the market. So again, it is important to to put the right structure, to have the right governance, and the frameworks which are robust enough for future and जो भी आपकी vision है future के लिए. And then that journey has been, a bit a rough ride, to be honest. It's not just hunky-dory to that. Now we are celebrating the first digital banking license in Pakistan. But a year later, when this partnership came and the bank was valued over $400 million, जब Ali पे आया, and that was actually also from an exit viewpoint, I would say, कम है. So अगर आप तामीर के point of view से देखें, तो I think that was one of the few or one of the early example where Telenor buyout and provided a very profitable exit to our then partners.
Yes.
So that happened in Pakistan. And then when AND came in, I mean, the whole entity was valued quite significantly, exploded. Usi Doran mein, we've also come across a massive fraud issue which we have to deal with, जो कि काफी था, and that is also a challenge and again learning कि आप कैसे, at that time some people were just saying yaar, I mean, this is so big because it's one of the largest in the banking history, but we were super transparent about it towards the regulators and internally as well. Okay, we start discovering issues and then we start addressing those issues and we start turning around the business. We made obviously some changes in the governance, in the leadership team and people as well. Culture was very important element because remember we started with a microfinance setup, which was very traditional, very, not technology savvy setup. And the culture was not, there was a huge mismatch with, say, a more modern, open, egalitarian, transparent culture of Telenor. So there was clearly a mismatch when we enter in there. And for some time, we have to live with those two cultures, where EasyPaisa was a digital arm, and then you have the microfinance arm, which was very traditional or conventional. And then we decided to actually merge the two entities into one. And we said that digital first, right? So everything has to be digital. And then we start, acquiring new skill sets and refresh a lot of talent overall. And then COVID happened, and COVID also gave us a lot of challenges. Again, another, I can talk about many examples, but the biggest was the setback when central bank, and again, regulations or aajkal, we're living in interesting times where you never know, okay, tariffs or regulations kab change ho jaye, Trump US mein kya kar raha hai. It has real-time implications on any business, whatever business you run in. And at that time, State Bank decided to go away with all the commissions which our agents were charging at cash in and cash out points. And then in Pakistan, largely cash economy, aaj takriban 9 trillion rupees are in circulation. So there has to be some incentive for the retailers when our customers go to the shop to put money in, and because not everyone had a traditional banking accounts, so they were paying or they were charging a fee. So that fee was waived during COVID because State Bank, rightly so, wanted to encourage digital adoption much more during COVID. And that has really helped overall the adoption. But it was a nightmare for us for many months because one of our major revenue stream disappeared overnight. And that was one of the major revenue streams. And on top of that, we had those fraud issues which we're dealing with. So it was a tough time that how we navigate and how you pivot into new products, new solutions. And that's when a lot of innovations start coming in. And we launched our new app. By then, we started building it to credit scoring models, and nano lending started. We basically moved away from just pure money services to more broader portfolio. Insurance got big takeoff because of COVID, especially health insurance, etc. So I think again the key learning there is that many times you plan something else, and then there are external factors, there are outside factors, there are factors beyond your control, and then you need to really pivot fast and reimagine yourself. Yeah.
So, आपकी जो journey है, you've dealt with the Danish cartoon or blasphemy case earlier on. Then this fraud. These are the things that delay scaling or exits because it's like setbacks Pakistan में ज़्यादा होते हैं. So what would take 5 to 10 years to an exit? Probably in Pakistan takes 20 years because you do face these kind of challenges. Having run operational businesses, fraud is very common, and as long as there's cash, there will be fraud. So I would say the digitization of the cash economy is like a jihad in that sense that it is the enabler. And if you bring digitalization, you bring more transparency and accountability. Then what it does is for founders, even like myself, I'm more open to investing more capital because I know my capital is safe rather than through cash, it might get leaked. So I think that is fantastic work that is happening, but that needs to even happen more.
No, absolutely. I mean, that is our fundamental issue agar aap dekhein at a macro level as well. Like I said, 9.4 trillion rupees in cash circulation. If you go to, and that is, agar aap emerging markets dekhte hain, jo comparable economies, this is more than twice compared to many other countries, right? So we are predominantly, we all know that. And that also create a lot of other issues, jisme aapka, documentation of economic issues hain, but also the cost. Look at the cost of cash for the central bank. आपकी फेक मनी आ जाती है, आपके बीच में डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाते हैं नोट्स, आपको करेंसी पहुंचानी है टू एवरी नूक एंड कॉर्नर ऑफ द कंट्री, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट है, सिक्योरिटी कॉस्ट है, आपको कैश कलेक्ट करना है. इवन अगर आप रिटेल बिजनेस रन कर रहे हैं, एफएमसीजी रन कर रहे हैं, cash, आपके snatching हो जाती है, all those issues. I mean, the cost to the economy is humongous. I mean, एक state bank की अपनी report थी 20 billion rupees a year, right? And then on top of that, you are, not अपनी downsize है. अगर आप merchant side पे देखते हैं, जहाँ पर पूरी दुनिया आप देखें कैसे तेजी के साथ digitize हो रही है. If you look at the neighboring country, India ने, their journey has been quite phenomenal. There, I mean, if you go to even छोटा जो करियाना स्टोर पे भी you can pay through QR code. 70 to 75% of transactions already are happening digitally in a similar environment, right? Because वहाँ पर जो demonetization की उसका बहुत बड़ा फायदा हुआ. And I would argue कि हमारे पास आज the building blocks for us to move in that direction are a lot more stronger compared to जब उन्होंने ये initiatives लिए थे. So we have all the building blocks to go totally digital. Even आपकी G2P payments हैं, आपकी जैसे बेनजीर इनकम सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम हो गया या और आपके डोनर प्रोग्राम्स हो गए, बहुत से पैसे आज भी आप कैश में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं. Why is that? I mean, it's mismanaged, misappropriate हो रहे हैं, issues हैं, धक्कम-पीड़ हो रही है उन कैंप्स में, वो सब issues. And we need to really think G2P, बाकी contracts जो हैं, वो सब चीजें आप, you can just digitize everything. Merchant universe is a huge universe. जहाँ पर I think there's a big opportunity, and then it will just create higher productivity and more opportunities for everyone and for the country.
And so, do you feel that the pull for digitization is more from the private sector or public sector? Or where do you find the resistance? Do you find the resistance to digitization is more in the public sector or the private sector?
देखें दोनों जगह पे. अब अगर मैं उसी इंडिया के एग्जांपल को लेता हूं तो देखें इट ऑल स्टार्टेड एट पॉलिसी लेवल. आप उसके बगैर कर नहीं सकते ना. आज अगर मैं और आप डिसाइड को सिस्टम तो आप कर लें,
वो नहीं कर सके,
लेकिन आप नहीं, लेकिन वहां के लिए आपको पॉलिसी इंटरवेंशंस चाहिए. ठीक है. एंड देयर दे हैव डन अ ह्यूज स्टेप. देखें, और उसमें टू बी टोटली कैंडिड, you need to really go beyond your vested interest. वहां पर उन्होंने किया, because I mean is always your elite जिसके इंटरेस्ट में कि यार कैश इकोनॉमी भी रहे और सारा, और they have taken those steps. So we need to really think about that as well. बातों से आगे, I think it's time for action. Secondly, when I talk to merchant, I think resistance वहां पर भी है. I won't say कि it's a policy का issue है. I think हमारा cultural issue भी as a society, because there's a fear. Let's face it. I was actually in the markets talking to many retailers just a couple of weeks back. There's a fear of taxes and FBR. कि यार अच्छा हम इस पे जाएंगे तो कल सवाल जवाब हो जाएंगे. People, and I spoke to people, जैसा कि हमें we're not shying away to pay जो भी एक due है, but जो सवाल जवाब होगा कि यार पहले क्या हुआ और वो सब कुछ, that process becomes too complex and too costly. उसको लोग अवॉइड करते हैं. तो I think we need to break that shackles and we need to really move forward in the long term, because that's where the world is moving. And you see at the advent of AI now, I mean there's a lot more use cases, and we'll come to the the new bank and what is the future of finance. I think that's amazing, and that's not possible unless you take some basic steps of building that digital ecosystem where right from awareness to all those use cases.
So demonetization was, very, very painful in India, but I'm a big fan of when India did it, and I think Pakistan needs to do it also. We need to go towards a digitalization, or uska wajah ye ki cash, 25,000 rupee note, you have to take it out and you have to bring it into the system. So I think that is very important, and I think let's get back into the more immediate of the digital bank. So tell us about your journey of getting the license and working with the state bank, and what do you think are the good aspect of the policies for the digital bank creation, and what are the things that need to change or need to improve for more facilitation?
Gee. No, I mean, first of all, I think the state bank's vision, I mean, there are a couple of very good steps recently which we have seen. I mean, obviously branchless banking was a great step back then, 2009 में, and Pakistan was ahead actually उस वक्त region के अंदर भी. Even अगर आप building blocks की बात करते हैं तो इंडिया की हम बात कर रहे थे, वहाँ पर one of the reason was their Aadhaar, which is like our national identity database. Our Nadra was ahead of time. From a technology viewpoint, there were very few countries at that time, I'm talking about like 15, 20 years ago, who were as advanced as we were, but we sort of kept it more protective, usko open up nahi kiya, and whereas they have actually leveraged it and asked the startups and the private sector players to play their role to build this digital ecosystem. So recently, RAST, I think, is a great step which State Bank has taken. I think it's those payment rails and instant payment rails are fantastic. That's what we definitely needed. And now we need to really generate more and more use cases, including the QR merchant payments के लिए. ये process जो शुरू हुआ जी तकरीबन 2 साल पहले, and that was a very thorough process, as you would recall. I mean, more than, I think, 24 applicants were there in the process, जिसके अंदर बहुत से आपके existing banks भी थे पाकिस्तान के, other players, existing players as well, and international players. And Telenor EasyPesa is the only existing player who was chosen. It was a robust process. I remember making presentation and a lot of very good detailed questions, drilling down into the strategy, our vision, investment appetite of sponsors, and all those things. So it was a very thorough process. And then when we got the in-principle approval, uske baad bhi, it was a very robust process by State Bank to make sure that everything is in place. Because, I mean, this is a serious business. We are in business of, money and create trust around that is extremely... So they've been very prudent. And I think that put Pakistan in that elite club of, globally there are about 300 operational digital banks. Asia के अंदर तकरीबन 100 के करीब होंगे. Many countries are still thinking about it. Thailand, as an example, because we have a business there as well, they have not issued yet. So Pakistan, in a sense, is again leapfrogging in a way. And I believe there are 4 more coming behind us. All of them will help actually building more awareness and creating ecosystem, which is great for Pakistani because we have a long way to go. आज भी अगर आप देखें तो करीबन 50% Pakistanis remain unbanked or underbanked. अगर आप female population में देखते हैं तो that ratio is even low, which is really something which we are not proud of. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for everyone in this market. Up mute, Anjali.
We normally come up with great regulation, and we also sometimes come ahead of the curve. But it's staying ahead of the curve, which is always a problem. As you remember, I remember 2004, 2005, the signals I used to get in Pakistan, the telecoms or mobile signal were much better than I used to get in London. But we were way ahead, but then we went behind other countries. So what will it take for this advantage of digital bank advancement that you said and you're part of, for it to continue and for it to be constantly innovation and going ahead? What does the government have to get out of the way, and what do private parties like you have to get on with it?
Yeah, excellent. So I think there's a clear role of policy and regulations, right? But that's not the only thing. This is a very important thing. And I think जो हमने देखा कि अब now with the licensing framework in place and licenses in place, so inshallah, you see more competition, more players coming in, more investment coming in, which is great. Same thing in the technology side as well. So you need to be really, let me just focus on the policy side first. You need to be forward-leaning and forthcoming to see what are the trends. In this space, there are many, digital currencies is obviously one big thing. Many countries are now issuing, and then you see that. Blockchain, artificial intelligence, quantum, which is also, the companies and banks and institutions which are and governments which are really investing a lot into that. So all those things you need to really see what trends are coming and how you can really leapfrog and actually skip some of that, ताकि we can move. So we need to do many things ourselves. And like I said, देखिए मैं आपको example देता हूँ. पिछले 3-4 साल में अगर आप देखें AI की जितनी बात हो रही है, huge investments going into those big tech players out of US, out of California. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar investments, Amazon's, Microsoft, Google's of the world, Nvidia's. But then, a couple of weeks back, one fine morning, DeepSeek के नाम से एक startup आता है, and they are just disrupting. Yeah, a few hundred engineers dedicated. It's and spending very little compared to all the money which has gone into that, right? So that's the power of technology. That can happen in Pakistan as well. There we don't need any government policies. We don't have to wait for the perfect environment. We don't have to wait for those things. Those things are very important, by the way. I'm not undermining, but I'm saying a lot can be done in the situation which we are in today. So we need to, as entrepreneurs, as startups, we need to really see what can we do and not focus too much on what is not there. I think that's very important for us to think, because one thing is quite clear that we are living in a global. The whole world is our playground. It doesn't matter if you're a data scientist or an AI engineer, whether you're sitting in Mardan or Multan or whether you're sitting in Madrid or Manhattan. It doesn't matter. Yeah, आपको connectivity चाहिए, और अगर आपका internet बंद हो जाता है तो I think you have a problem. And that I hope at least our policymaker will understand that uninterruptible connectivity is just like payment rails, is very important to have that in digital infrastructure. But apart from that, I think a lot of innovation can happen in the private sector. And I think as a digital bank, again, our vision is quite clear. Innovation will be happening through partnership. जैसे हमने historically किया, and we have a track record of that as well. So if you look at EasyPaisa app, you'll see a mini app, mini programs. You see many partners who are already present there. And we actually like to even work with partners whether it's come to credit scoring, whether it comes to other innovative products. We already already are one of the largest distributor of mutual funds in Pakistan, which are provided by partners. We are building and soon, inshallah, going to be launching the insurance marketplace, which is all done by partners. We see ourselves as a platform play, right? So we have 50 million customers today. So every fourth Pakistani is an EasyPaisa customer. 30 million of them log into EasyPaisa every month. So we have a huge scale advantage, so that we are not, we need to only achieve this through the innovation, through partnership and collaboration. So we want to connect the supply side with the demand side. We want to open up our platform more and more in the coming days and months, where those products, wealth products, and the whole idea is that how we can become more customer centric, because that's the whole thesis of a new bank or a digital bank. कि कैसे आप easy, convenient, customized, super personalized products अपने customers को दे सकते हैं जो traditional banks नहीं offer कर सकते.
So आपके point on policy and internet, तो मुक्तदर हल्के जैसे कहते हैं, उनको अपील होनी चाहिए कि Ant invested $184 million, is a lot of investment. We are looking for FDI. So if you let telecom or internet or digital sector thrive, then you can get multiples of that kind of investment into Pakistan. That's already happened once and multiple times before. And that can happen at a much larger scale if internet is allowed to thrive and prosper. So coming to your question around the supermarket that you're building, in your way, the digital banks, the biggest opportunity that you see, and if you can name 1, 2, 3, which is the biggest opportunity you see? Is it like agriculture? It is retail financing? Is it gender? Is it women? You've done a lot of work on women empowerment and all of those things. What do you think in terms of your strategy, the top 3 markets that you'll target as part of the digital bank?
Yeah. So I think opportunity, interesting बात ये है कि हमारे मुल्क में opportunities everywhere, right? So all the sectors you mentioned are huge, right? Agriculture is like 21% of our GDP, 45% of the workforce, totally neglected in terms of digital inclusion or financial inclusion. You know it, so going back to your point, I think the immediate opportunities which we are targeting is, first of all, the overall financial inclusion, I think, remains our mission. I think we, like I said, a long way to go. With 50% Pakistanis, about 100 million people are unbanked, and that's a mission which we have taken. And usme aapka, and when it comes to females, aapne jo mentioned kiya, again, no country can thrive, jab aapki 50% population is only contributing 18% of GDP. You have a huge gap. Sitting in Singapore, I've lived in Thailand and Philippines in this region. आज 20-30 साल पहले तक यार ये ममालिक जो हैं, वियतनाम हो गया, Philippines या Thailand even, GDP wise were behind Pakistan. Yes. If you look at what has happened in the last 30-40 years, is primarily one thing, and there are many things, but one thing which is very distinct is female participation in the economy. So जब तक आप empower नहीं करेंगे, digitally or financially include नहीं करेंगे, no country can progress. I'm super clear on that. So we need to really take it as a mission. And we've seen that now, that there are opportunities कि आप ख़वातीन घर बैठ के काम कर सकते हैं. You can set up your shop on Insta, on Facebook, for example, on social, and then you can sell your products, or you can be an IT developer and act like a freelancer. It resolves a lot of your issues and tensions which we have as a society, जहाँ पर public transport नहीं है, safe नहीं है, conservatory society है. All those things are addressable through technology. But back to your point, I think the other big opportunity which I see is taking cross-border payments and remittance. I think short term, this is a big opportunity. We have also done a trial some time back based on the blockchain, जिस पे हमने Malaysia Pakistan money corridor choose किया. Malaysia इसलिए कि we are the largest telecom operator in Malaysia, और there is a sizable Pakistani worker community in Malaysia. So to send money back to Pakistan on blockchain, which was Alibaba's blockchain cloud pay. उसका फायदा क्या है 24/7 आप पैसे भेज सकते हैं there is no middleman आपकी कोई फीस नहीं कटेगी you get the best rates and it's all documented with money trail and everything right wow. So that's a huge opportunity. Other thing is cross border payments. जब हम लोग से travel करते हैं तो with part of our partnership with Alipay plus merchants के लिए 160 ममालिक में millions of merchants are accepting that. So आप EasyPaisa account से you can pay at those places when you're traveling for holidays or if you travel for whatever purpose, you can pay that. So that's also a big opportunity. Iske alawa lending we've been quite successful in last few years on nano loans. Today we are doing about 65,000 loans every day. So I think there's a big space in terms of data and usko enrich up kaise kare aur kaise we expand that. So that is one priority for us. And the whole idea is to target youth. I think Pakistan ka jo sabse bada advantage hai, which we have to think as startups in across any field, I would say, is our median age of 21. Not many countries have that blessed demographic split or distribution, and these are the kids who are not aware of brick and mortar banking experience. They don't want to experience that. They don't even want to talk. They want to type and write and and communicate on messaging. So unke liye, and they don't want a relationship manager which is a human. I mean, they are happy with more personalized chatbot or assistant, and that's where we need to create awareness and provide products and segment which is totally ignored at the moment. And I think that has a huge upside over time.
So we have got a lot of questions coming, and please, we're going to go straight into questions and keep them coming, and we'll ask Irfan the question that you've asked. So there's one question we've come. How do you view your competition from digital banking aspirants like Mashriq Bank or Rakami? Do you feel there is enough space and potential for multiple market players in digital banking space?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say yes. Uske reason maine aapko batayi already that the market is big enough. I think we believe in expanding the pie. I don't think there's one pie जिस पे हम सब fight कर रहे होंगे आने वाले सालों में. I think there's a huge potential for growth and expansion and innovation. And you mentioned some vertical, right? So business vertical could be one, SME could be other, agriculture could be one, and then you have similar split in product areas. You can take a position in remittance, you can take a position in lending, in saving, wealth management, insurance, you name it. So I think the universe is going to be, we need to all collectively expand the universe. And I personally feel there will be space for multiple players. But obviously it's a digital business, it's a platform business. There's advantage of scaling up, and we have that huge advantage in terms of starting point. If I tell you that our customers alone last year transacted over 9.5 trillion rupees on our platform, wow. That means 9% of Pakistan's GDP. So I think that is definitely advantage. But I mean, I also see competition is always good because that will really keep you on the toes to keep on innovating.
So one question that has come is SadaPay is offering Sada-based freelancing account, which helps to get direct payments from foreign clients. What does EasyPesa do for freelancing and e-commerce payment issues?
Yeah, so that's I know is a long-standing question for some time. So like I said, our alliance with Alipay will give us that advantage where at least in the markets where they have presence, they are actually quite strong. In many cases, they are number one wallet. So that will give us that opportunity to have to offer products based on that for our freelancing community as well. And then we will be building further alliances as we go along over time.
Do you think EasyPesa gave users an investment option such as mutual fund of sorts that would make EasyPesa a more trusted option because they've been using it for a long time and would make more money can stay in the system and would be beneficial for you?
जी देखिए those products are already there. अगर मैं आपको ये बताऊँ आज के we have over 2 million people who have saving accounts with us. We have also launched recently a term deposit product, and that's quite interesting product because maybe traditional bank use करते हो, then you need to have at least मेरा banker मुझे कहता था at least आपके पास million rupees होंगे तो आप ये करें, उससे कम पे आप नहीं कर सकते, and I have to go to the branch. Here you can on the app even save with 1,000 rupees. For 7 days, you can choose a month, you can choose whatever tenor you like. And that is already available for EasyPesa customers. And we are offering fantastic rates on those term deposits. So that's the flexibility, agility जो मैंने बताया जो new banks या digital banks कर सकते हैं. Because each product is customizable to your needs and every customer is different. अगर आपको और अगर मैं आपको ये बताऊं कि लार्जेस्ट मनी मार्केट फंड ग्लोबली वाज जेपी मॉर्गन्स मनी मार्केट फंड, जिसको ओवरटेक किया अली बाबा के फंड ने, जिसकी ट्रांसलेशन है लेफ्ट ओवर फंड। यानी अगर आपका जो भी चेंज बचा है आपके वॉलेट में, तो 100 रुपए या 50 रुपए, आप उसको डेली बेसिस पे इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं, एंड दैट गिव्स द वॉल्यूम, यू नो, वी नीड टू रियली डू द रेलेवेंट इनोवेशन, एंड आवर इनोवेशन इज साशे, जो हमने एफएमसीजी में भी किया। शैम्पू आपको हेड एंड शोल्डर का वेस्ट में आपको वो सिंगल यूज साशे नहीं मिलेगा, आपको बॉटल्स मिलेगी। पाकिस्तान में क्योंकि मार्केट डिमांड ऐसी है, अफोर्डेबिलिटी के इश्यूज हैं, तो सेम थिंग इन बैंकिंग, वी नीड टू थिंक डिफरेंट, what is the need of our customers, or how you can customize those products, and that's where we have a huge advantage compared to traditional banks, and that's where we are hoping to actually offer services to our customers.
It reminded me that the biggest float in any country is actually within the sofa beds, जहाँ पे लोगों के चवनी है और वो गिर जाती है. It has a lot of money in there. So utilizing any amount of that money, which is not productive, and using it on asset, getting an ROI, it increases the paying capacity, the affordability for the customers. Would you foresee a time, and not that Bitcoin would be available, investment through EasyPesa? As you know, that there are more people who are investors in Bitcoin in Pakistan than there are people who are account holders on the stock exchange. So Pakistanis do love Bitcoin.
This is more of a regulations question.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So no, I mean, where I'm sitting again, I mean, the countries have adopted. Many countries are adopting those regulations. The mainstream banks are offering those accounts, and they're offering interesting products around it. I think the whole digital currency, whether it's a sovereign currency or tokenization, offers very interesting opportunities. Of real world assets, fractional ownership of real estate is also a huge trend already picking up. Fractional ownership of investment products, even heritage homes, bigger properties. कर सकते आप bonds where it requires at least few $100,000 minimum investment or ticket size, you can be a fractional owner. So a lot of innovation is happening through digital assets, mainstream banking के अंदर, and it's a matter of time के पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी, and I'm sure State Bank is also looking.
And how do you view the potential competition from other traditional commercial banks who are fully ramping up their digital initiatives and operations?
Yeah, no, great. I mean, again, back to the thing that we need more, all of them. So more the merrier, I would say, क्योंकि देखिए सबसे पहले तो आपको अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करनी है, और लेकिन हिस्टोरिकली भी आप देखें तो दे आर नॉट एबल टू एक्चुअली पेनिट्रेट बियॉन्ड अ सर्टेन इनकम सेगमेंट और बियॉन्ड अ सर्टेन सोशो इकोनॉमिक सेगमेंट. टियर 1 सिटीज तक हैं, टाउन्स वगैरह में बहुत कम प्रेजेंस है. It's great that moving in that direction, but if you're talking about the massive adoption, if you're talking about the financial inclusion for every Pakistani, that is not going to happen in a traditional way. I'm pretty sure about it, but I think everything helps. Because then we are, getting more and more innovative products and new ideas, which will really help each other to move forward.
And do you see similar models emerging for Pakistan, like Revolut or Monzo? Do you foresee that happening?
Yeah, so I mean, we are more or less there. I mean, post our digital EasyPesa digital bank license, all those products, जो Revolut, Monzo या Starlink कर रहा है UK में, या और बहुत से banks, आपके जो न्यू बैंक्स हैं, they are offering. Soon you will see a whole range of products, जिसको मैंने आपको जिक्र किया है, जिसमें especially अगर आप क्रॉस बॉर्डर पेमेंट्स की बात करते हैं या रेमिटेंस की बात करते हैं, lending और saving, insurance, we're already offering today, even term deposits. So you see more, I would say, broader portfolio of wealth management over the coming months.
And why does EasyPesa not have franchises? Like, there's a question, franchises like Jazz Cash. According to one source online I've researched, people have mixed reviews or negative reviews for customer services on EasyPesa. Is this your knowledge, and are there any measures being taken? At one point I realized that the API integration was a bit risky, and a lot of people would get a lot of attacks, like virus attacks, as a result. I don't know whether it was them blaming EasyPesa or the API integration, but that was one complaint. How are these being addressed?
Very good question. सबसे पहले on the branches. So this is a digital bank concept, right? So I mean, we are actually we have some branches historically because of our older license जो microfinance का था, and we keep on reducing those presence. There will be few branches, but the whole portfolio is around digital, branchless type, because that's the whole premise of scaling up. When it comes to APIs and customer services issues, yes, बिल्कुल knowledge में है. देखें, दो तीन चीजें. एक तो fraud and scams are a universal truth, right? Even in advanced markets, you get a lot, and people are really innovative. They are trying new ways every day, and it's a cat and mouse game. So we keep on investing a lot more into our information security system, cybercrime. There's a huge investment. We actually, as two shareholders, have invested over $300 million in the last few years, and bulk of it has gone into technology and IT investment, which includes cybersecurity. But I mean, having said that, we are putting a lot more emphasis on risk and better controls, because now because our ticket size will go up and all that, and we need to really be on top. Customer services also is a journey, and we try to sort of develop user experiences which are seamless, but I must acknowledge there's a way to go, and we are investing a lot on building better customer experiences for our customers as we go along.
And of course the journey, and Pakistan mein customer services, anything that is structured, repetitive, isko karna bada mushkil hai, because our mindsets and people are not trained for that thing. So the best thing to do is to all of these functions. There is interest in Islamic banking in Pakistan. What do you think about that, and how does it align with?
No, I mean, this is definitely a huge space. I think बहुत से customers के लिए और अब आगे जो regulations भी आ रहे हैं. So it is on our roadmap as well. But it's a question of priority because first was to secure the digital banking license. But inshallah, soon you will see that we will also move in the Islamic direction as well. And whether digital or conventional, it doesn't matter. So Islamic banking will be available as part of the EasyPesa offering in due course.
Okay, and another question, talking about structure, don't you think Sada Pay has a better and a stronger structure in the sense that they're actually offering international payments directly from foreign entities?
And I don't want to comment on any of the competitors per se. I think it's great because customer experience ke point of view, so you would like international remittance, because we are only 2 weeks into the new digital license, so it's fairly new. So we have not really launched our product on international remittance, but the whole idea there is that it will be a seamless wallet to wallet, right? So if you are a wallet user in any market where we have launched, you can send money seamlessly into EasyPesa wallet without any intermediary. So that's our vision. It will take a while, and then we keep on adding more and more alliances, and we will get there. But Joe, digital bank, I mean, compared to some of the other licenses, here we have a full portfolio of products. So it's not just those payments. Like I said, we are into lending, and then by virtue of digital license, there we can do consumption loans, जो आप पहले नहीं कर सकते थे, because it was only productive loan उससे पहले. तो consumption के अंदर आप consumers को loans जैसे payday loans हो गए, buy now pay later services हम already offer कर रहे हैं, which inshallah will expand. इसके अलावा even आप there are no restrictions, you can do auto loans and mortgages as well, which will not be our priority at this moment, but at least we can do that. फिर saving products जो मैंने आपको कहा, तो it's a full portfolio of financial services जो some of the other licenses या competitors इस वक्त नहीं कर सकते because of the restriction on the license.
So I think that's fantastic, and we've run through all the questions. So we're coming towards the end. So tell us, in terms of your experience being here since 2004, being part of this journey, what are your key lessons, insights for scaling, for surviving, going through crisis as you've done in Pakistan, and two questions that people ask young people, should I stay in Pakistan? Should I go abroad? So what are your views on that and your own experience and lessons?
देखिए, सबसे पहले तो my advice is to think big. So be bold. इसमें जैसे मैंने आपको अपना experience बताया, we thought at that one, so to be candid, it started as an experiment. We wanted to find out an adjacent revenue stream. We took a bet. We went to our board. We were turned down twice not to get into this business, but we were persistent. We were bold. We had that vision, and it pays off. We've gone through many ups and downs, fraud issues, regulatory challenges, many other things. I mean, in setting up those talent issues, but we've been persistent. The other thing is, so we have to think big. It's very important, and be bold. The other thing is teaming up. जैसे मैंने आपको examples भी दी, to collaborate, understand your strengths, and also be self-aware कि कौन सी चीजें आप नहीं कर सकते. The example which I gave, हम चाहते तो हम try कर सकते थे कि यार end को लाने की क्या जरूरत है, हम खुद कर लेते हैं, digital banking भी या fintech भी कर लेंगे. By then we had quite a sizable operations, but we were very clear कि यार we don't have the best expertise in there. Rather reinventing the wheel and learning, why don't you get and team up? And that's the second lesson, I would say. The third one is learn from your failures and pivot. And we have learned a lot in that journey. And an important thing is that you stay on course, but also learn from the mistakes. Whether, जैसे मैंने आपको शुरू में कहा कि it all become over-the-counter service. It was not really the wallets. We were totally sort of, the business case were totally out of the window at that time. Uske alawa, we have also many other smaller failures on the product. So it is important to think long term. Like I said, the opportunity space, and to your question around Pakistan, I think these opportunities which are present in Pakistan are quite unique because we're starting from the scratch, right? अगर आप डिजिटल फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन की बात करते हैं या किसी भी शेयर्ड इकोनॉमी में किसी भी सेक्टर की बात करते हैं, there's a lot to be done. It's frustrating, I must say, at times because of the surroundings. The public policy and the regulatory framework generally doesn't help. They try to create obstacles. But there's a lot can be done without those. And we need to really think again that what we can do rather than waiting for that perfect moment.
And one thing I would like to also acknowledge, Irfan, as people in the management team, that the big investors basically put a lot of money and faith. And they put money on faith on the local management team to deliver on that, fulfill that trust, and not to violate that trust by taking short-term advantages, trying to fill in their own pockets, and realize that people can take market risk, but what they cannot take risk is that they have a management team that they cannot trust, and they don't know that their money with them is going to be trusted or not. And I think that is a very important lesson. And one of the reasons why Telenor probably has invested and continue to invest and done well in Pakistan is because of people like Irfan and the team, and that they had confidence in them that they could go through the local challenges. If you want to add anything to that?
Absolutely. That's an excellent point. And ethos and values are very important. And when you look at the overall tech ecosystem, we come across examples. And that's the value is extremely important. And how you build in your business. Because it has to be transparent. You need to demonstrate that you have sufficient controls in place. You are taking governance, risk, and compliance very serious, especially for startups, I would say, because you're building up the foundations. And it's extremely important to put the right structures, you put the right governance, because it's not about, getting the share of the market should not be the highest property. How you get that, it should be the highest priority. And how you build a sustainable business. Or absolutely, I will give example in spite of the massive fraud issue we had, but we were super transparent internally towards our shareholders, but super transparent towards regulator as well. जिसकी वजह से वो trust build हुआ, we have taken actions, we kept them informed on what we're doing, जिसकी वजह से at the end they choose us as one of the new licensee for the digital bank, because that all was happening more or less at the same time or immediately after that. So I think it's very important to go back to the fundamentals and build it in a way which is long-term and sustainable, focusing on governance, focusing on the right structures, and mitigating those risks, and be super open and communicate about those dilemmas as well.
Will you be a unicorn before Jazz Cash, and then will you become a unicorn?
That's not how we think, at least at EasyPesa. What we think is there's a mission ahead of us, and that mission is that we need to keep on. And this journey, again, license, I see this as a new chapter in our journey. And this is just a permission for us to operate, innovate, collaborate, and transform the entire digital and financial ecosystem. I think we are at a very early stage of this journey, in spite of, alhamdulillah, huge trust of our customers so far. I think the work has just started, has just begun. And our objective is to keep on serving our customers and build that trust and keep on equipping them so that they can see the value. And that's how you build the value. So you need to have a long-term view. You don't need to think about short-term milestones, I guess. And that's how at least we think.
Excellent. Parting thoughts, anything that you want to end your talk with?
Again, I just want to leave on a note that, I personally feel that there's huge and tremendous opportunity in Pakistan. There's a tremendous opportunity in technology. Technology is the biggest equalizer for a country like us, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's agriculture, whether it's e-commerce, or any sector of our economy. And we can actually transform the country and the people. But we need to really have the right values, I guess. And we have to really think big. And we have to team up, and we have to learn from the failures, because in this journey, you will face a lot of failures. You will face a lot of obstacles. But be resilient, and that's the only way to survive and succeed.
So thank you very much, Irfan, for your time, and left lucrative, very successful career abroad and came back to Pakistan. And I think the risk, the bet that he took on Pakistan paid off. And I think if he would have taken a shorter term view, 5 years, I think it may have been different, but he had the long-term vision, the patience to be with Pakistan, to go through the struggles, and I think that has paid off. So I always think big and also think long-term. Pakistan, if you bet on Pakistan, it will pay off. It may take more time, but it will pay off. Number two is, can you hear me? Number two is a partnership. I think you can go far, and if you go with others. And you have to realize that you cannot do everything on your own, and that when you combine with others, you dilute your control, but you bring in other people with the right value system, the right skill set. Then you are really building something that can become a unicorn, or that can become big and do social impact and service for the people. Third thing I think is, I would say, and that was present throughout Irfan's journey, is courage. And the courage, because it's not easy, will not behave in the way you want it to behave. Sometimes the regulators will not behave in the way you want to behave. There will be fraud, there will be issues. I have come across a lot of times when people have those challenges and they run away. They don't take responsibility and they run away instead of facing with that. But the main thing is that you have to have the courage. You have to face the challenges. These things will come. If you're there and you're transparent, you're open with the regulator, with your board, and you have the right value system, then inshallah you will prevail. So thank you very much, Irfan, and thank you very much, Paklaunch, for this wonderful opportunity to share your personal journey, for showing the youth that you can be better in Pakistan as a corporate or a startup, and always to take risks, be courageous, and learn from your mistakes and iterate. So thank you for another session of Paklaunch and on Digital Bank. It was very illuminative and knowledgeable for me, and I hope it was for you as well. Thank you.